Hey.
How's it going?
Good.
What you doing?
Measuring stuff.
Oh, okay. There was a mishap on our audio today.
Yeah.
So.
Well, maybe shove that segment back in there, and now you can,
Make sure the audio works.
Yeah.
Properly,
Yeah.
like 10 times over.
Yeah. Did you hit the mute button?
No.
Oh, okay. Maybe they hit the mute button.
No, I don't think it was them.
Okay.
Because they all would have had to like simultaneously hit the mute button.
Fair enough.
So I think this one's on us. I guess technically it's on me.
It's all right.
Since I did it, but.
We'll do better next time.
I promise to endeavor to do so.
Bet you do.
All right, well, here's the clip that was lacking audio today. We will go ahead and play that for you now so you can see what was actually said. Okay, so this harness is about ready to go in the car. We're going to have Devin kind of give us a rundown of what all we got going on here because it looks like there's a lot happening.
Yeah, so we've got, the goal here is to build something so that this will stay in the car permanently, and then we can build from our bulkheads out for everything. So this is your ECU, so there's 6 connectors on a Dominator. They've all got rubber boots on them. They, we're gonna, once this is in the car, we'll show you, but we got a bulkhead connector for the passenger side here. So this will feed like all the passenger accessories and like O2 sensor, a couple other things. And then this is the engine harness. So this will go into the firewall like so, and then there'll be a nut plate on the back side that holds this in place. So all you'll see is this poking through the firewall and then 4 little stainless button head cap screws. And we've got our 2 injector driver modules right under here. So these boots are kind of neat. I think I touched on it before, but these boots, while they're not like a shrink boot like this, they keep it sealed up pretty good, and you can zip tie the back shell onto the connector for all of them, which is nice. So, because these back shells want to kind of come off they kind of like slide on and off pretty easy. So this is our Pro 600 input side. So this is the triggers that come from the ECU to tell the Pro 600 when to fire, what cylinder. So there's 8 triggers in here plus CAN bus, power and ground. Then this is our smart wire connectors. These are an amp seal. Both of these style connectors are amp seal 1.5. They don't make an actual back shell for these, but we've learned that if you score these a little bit and then shrink the boots on, they bite down pretty good and keep it nice and sealed up. So then this also goes on our panel. This is the integration for the profiler, the profiler traction control module, and then solid state relay for bump. Big relay for the 24 injectors, and then this is going to feed our CAN hub. So we're trying to future-proof this too, so that we know that there's some new stuff on the horizon via CAN from Holley. So we're leaving an open port in the CAN hub, so he can just plug in if he wants to, plug in something new that way. So this goes all the way to the CO2 bottle, all the lockup stuff for the transmission, the dump valves. It's all in here. Rife block for sensors on the transmission, and trans brake. There's some spares in here. This is a spare near the transmission. This is a spare up by the shifter, and we've got the neutral safety switch. All that kind of stuff is all integrated in here, as well as the dome lights. We got some cool ideas for dome lights too. Potentially a 3rd brake light. This stuff here that is wrapped up in Kapton tape is not terminated yet because, and this stuff here is not cut to length and terminated yet because it has to go through a grommet in the back of the car. So you can crimp the terminals on, but you can't put the connector on because it won't fit through the grommet that's there. So this is gonna go in the car and be tied all up, mounted, and then we'll run this stuff through the back of the car and terminate it. Everything else that's already inside of the car is already terminated to match. So all this stuff will just plug right in, and then we get to work on the outsides of all these bulkheads. So we label everything. So we always use so all this stuff is all covered in DR25, and then we've got like a black label with white print, and then there's a piece of RT375 clear heat shrink over top of it. Then the ends are sealed off with a piece of SEL, or Raychem SEL heat shrink. So basically there's a lot of footage of wire here, plus a good bit of footage of heat shrink. So it takes a little bit of time to do all this stuff, but the end result, I think, is worth the effort and time. So Justin and Daniel are getting a panel ready to go in, and then this will follow. So what do you got?
How many times has this been in and out of the car so far?
I believe this will be going in for the final fitment, or final install will be the 5th time that it goes in. So it's been in and out 4 times prior. So in order to get the right fitment, because as dumb as it sounds, like when you put, earlier in the time lapse that we were doing before, you could see that we were messing with this stuff here at the ECU to make sure that this was all, bent the right directions and whatnot before this was terminated so that this could fit properly. And so like every time you shrink a boot or build a big joint like this, it could move stuff around a little bit. So like you want to kind of fit it up multiple times to make sure it's right the whole way. So, and it only takes you like an extra 15 minutes or so to fit it up, 15, 20 minutes, so.
Okay. Also, you just went over a whole ton of stuff that this harness covers.
Yep.
Okay. If you had to guess, like you carried it, so we could lay it out to show everybody, how much do you think you had in weight there?
Oh, I don't know, I can weigh it quick.
People would ask what we thought the harness would weigh, so I
don't know.
Didn't know if you had a guess on it.
No, I don't know. I mean, realistically, it's probably every bit of 7 pounds. Realistically, it's probably every bit of 7 pounds. Yeah. I would say 7 to 8,
7 to 8 average pounds?
Yeah, that's usually the average weight is 7 to 8 pounds, something like that. So, then of course you're going to have a little bit more weight with, coming out of here, like going to the engine harness and stuff. But all the heavy stuff is in here. So
once you guys get this up in the car, you'll finish the last of those termination, like run the rest of that. And
we'll terminate all this stuff, and then we should hopefully by the end of tonight we'll have this in, we'll have this wrapped up, and we have to still build the CDI output harness. Like this is the input. We have to build the CDI output harness, and then a couple other little odds and ends inside the car, and then all that's left is doing these and then plumbing. So normally we plumb first, but with this scenario we kind of had to lay out some stuff. It's kind of a little bit backwards from the way we like to do it, but in a short timeline. So this is the way it wound up going. Waiting on parts for plumbing. There's no point in twiddling your thumbs. So we just
his Halloween socks. Chucky.
Fly, as always.
All right, so which harness is this for? What do we got here?
This is the driver side auxiliary bulkhead harness, which is going to have, so it's got the line lock, brake pressure, primer pump for the front here. I mean, we don't normally use those, but we have them on this car. That's something Cameron Johnson put on there. Then we have a ground for all of this. So that'll get tapped into the frame rail there and have a good ground for that. This is our front laser for ride height. Then we have two shock sensors, or a shock sensor and a 5-volt spare. So these are Mullet's connectors for the shock sensor, the rife sensor. And then back here we have our O2. Then we have our bump start switch.
Okay.
Yeah, Devin did a really good job on that one too.
I see Devin made some other fancy things. Are we allowed to show those yet?
I mean,
Oh,
yeah, that's pretty fly right there.
I made some. Oh, hang on. So the camera doesn't want to focus. There it goes.
Yeah, you can't get that just anywhere.
It's pretty badass.
there, it's pre-shrunk.
Oh, there we go. That's what it looks like before they put heat to it. So pre-shrunk. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just have to finish terminating this and then.
Yeah, we got to do a pressure transducer plug there, and this one will be ready to go in the car.
All right. Awesome.
Hey,
I'm back.
howdy.
We were just coming to see what you guys accomplished today.
So, what did you already film? I don't know.
We
Sorry.
had a bunch of time lapse. I think Daniel may have gone over some stuff earlier.
Okay, so you just kind of want me to go from the top, what we got
Just
left?
a brief rundown of what we did in the car today, and
Okay.
I know you were working on auxiliary harnesses and stuff. So
Yeah, so the driver's side auxiliary harness is done. Well, still have to terminate the O2 over here, but I'm waiting to do that so that kind of see how an angle lays out. Whatever, it's not super important. But anyway, we have like bump start switches, or one bump start switch, shock travel sensor, laser down there, and I don't remember. Oh, there's some lighting here, primer pump. So this driver's side auxiliary harness is done. Did you show them these? These are pretty sweet.
We did. We showed them earlier.
Okay, they're pretty
See if I
sweet.
can get up in here again and.
Or the unshrunk version. Oh yeah, I showed you the unshrunk version earlier.
Yeah.
Yep. So these are done. I saw people were asking about like if something gets damaged, what do you do? We document everything really well. So if say something happens and they destroy this, something here in this harness or whatever, and they want me to fix it or they want me to remake something, I have all of my measurements from here to everywhere on the car, and I have the pinout for this, and I know the shell size for this and everything. So like if they call me and say, hey, we're gonna move, let's just say they're gonna move the laser from where it's at now. Well, we did this intentionally. That's why there's a sub harness here. So like if they wanna move the laser, that's the connector for the laser. these lasers use an M12 connector on them. So we would just make a new one of these and it could be a little longer, right? So that makes life, so there's a little bit of like forethought that goes into just about everything we do. So if they damage something, I could get a phone, like, you know, Gary could call me and say, hey, you know, I screwed this up or whatever, or, you know, whatever. We got wild and I just cut it in half, whatever. You know what I mean?
Doesn't sound like something he would do.
No, you know, just whatever happens, we could rebuild this for him. You know what I mean? And they just ship it to him and he plugs it in and he's done. So that's why we do there's a couple of reasons why you use bulkheads, right? One, for ease of removal, right? And two, for repair or segregation, right? So like you don't want your coils to run through, you know, where the engine runs through, like the engine harness. Because I think we talked about this earlier, but like CDI, you know, capacitive discharge ignition coils, lots of noise. So we run them separate, and then this is an engine one, and then this is auxiliary. So if you pull the engine out, you want to be able to just take this off like this, and then pull the engine out of the car. So like obviously we're not going to wire the stuff that is up front to this bulkhead, because then otherwise you're unplugging all this other stuff. It doesn't, you know, kind of doesn't make sense. So so that's one of the reasons for bulkheads. The other reason, another pretty prominent reason, and I read this in the comments, somebody said like, well, it's not really much of a firewall now that you poked all these holes. Well, if you don't use a bulkhead, you have a grommet. If you have a grommet, if it's like a perfectly sized grommet, you're okay, you know what I mean? But if you have a grommet, you have rubber sealing off your firewall to the inside of the car, where if you use a bulkhead, you have a piece of metal. You know what I mean? There's a metal connector here. So obviously not like fireproof, but it's about as good as you're gonna get when it comes to trying to pass through wires through. Same reason why we use them for EGTs instead of just using a grommet to seal the car off. So the driver's safety, like in this case, Cletus's safety is number one. So do we want them to win? Yeah. You know, but the reality of it is, no matter who our customer is, their safety is my number one priority. So, you know, that's another reason why we do bulkheads everywhere. So, but anyway, we got this bulkhead sub-harness done. We got, let's go look inside the car. Justin was working on tidying up some stuff. I'll go over there. You could stay right there. So, and I got a handy dandy little poker with me too, a pointer, if you will.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's back. So last night I built these CDI coil harnesses, like sub harnesses. So this is where the CDI wiring comes from. It comes through here, plugs in right here. We got all this tidied up, all the grounds populated. The stuff in the can hub, we talked about that the other day, I believe, down there, that can hub. So they'll have this top port open. This second port down is gonna go to the EGT module. And this panel came out really nice. I really like it. I think this came out really good. There's a lot of data in this car. There's a lot of programmability. There's a lot of function in this car. And these drag and drive cars, I mean, obviously this one is like, you know, like a next level, if you will. You know what I mean? But these drag and drive cars are progressing more and more. So basically, to wire a Pro Mod, because I've wired plenty of them, but to wire like an actual like Pro modified class car, like a race car, requires like a third of what's in this car. You know, as far as wiring and time, or half of what's in this car, as far as wiring and time goes. So like a car like this is, you know, double the amount of time that it takes to do the job as opposed to a Pro Mod. Because a Pro Mod, all you have to do is you press one button, you turn on your lights, you press another button, you turn on your ignition, you press another button, starter, and then you make a pass, and that's it. That's all it's doing, and then you push it to the lanes and you push it back. So with this thing, 2 fuel systems, you know, driving it on the road, cooling system, yada, yada. So there's a lot to this. So it adds a lot of complexity. This is kind of our specialty, is doing these, just because I think the people that have been watching these past couple of videos could tell we're pretty thorough. So at least we try to be. So we're always trying to do better, but you know, we're pretty thorough. So
Okay. Very cool. So tomorrow you will be working on the main engine harness?
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
but this is the other stuff we got done today. This is the driver side, or passenger side auxiliary bulkhead.
Okay.
This was not very difficult. It's obviously not done, but this isn't like very, for me, this isn't very difficult, but other people would look at this and think that this is very difficult, right? But reality of it is that like, if you break these jobs, like this job is really intimidating for most people, but if you break these jobs into really a whole lot of small jobs, they become a lot easier. So it's easier to tackle one small job. So like if you're watching and you're fixing to wire your car, don't be so intimidated to see all this and be like, oh my God, where do I start? Like just break it up into smaller jobs and you can knock them out a little bit easier. But this right here is the passenger side auxiliary bulkhead. We got the other O2 in it, another bump starts, 2 more bump start switches.
So you had gone over this earlier, as before it had the heat shrink on it.
Yeah, yep.
So this is, you still have to terminate.
Yeah, I actually can't 100% finish this until I overnight a connector, which I ordered about an hour ago because we're doing something pretty fancy with the radiator. So,
Okay.
well, nature of the beast, right? So the methanol fuel cell was sitting right in here. And obviously, if the methanol fuel cell's in here, there's no room for the radiator. So let me put the,
Why don't you put the pointer
I'll put the dog paw away.
away? Yeah, you can put it away.
So, so what they're going to do is on a drag and drive, you'll, if you're not familiar, and I'm assuming most people that are watching this are familiar, but if you're not familiar, you show up day one, you make a pass, you race. So the methanol fuel cell will be there. Then they're going to say, okay, time to go hit the road. They're going to pull the methanol fuel cell out, which Cameron Johnson and his guys came up with a really cool slide-in mount. Like you use these 2 pins, and then there's a tie cage that's got 4 more little quick pins that go right in here and there. It's pretty slick. Comes right out. They have, I was on the phone with Cameron earlier. He has not made the mount system that's going to hold the radiator in here yet, but he gave me some really good measurements. So you can stay there. I'll just carry it over there and I'll show you. So what they're going to do is put this radiator right about here. Okay? This radiator is going to sit right about here, up a little bit, but I'm not holding this thing because it's heavy. So it's going to sit up a little bit. So our harness that I'm working on is coming down this bar right here, and there's quite a few electrical items on this radiator. So we've obviously got the electric water pump that from Mazir bolts right onto the end of the radiator. But then we also have 2 Spall brushless fans from Be Cool. Be Cool Radiators did the radiator and the fan shroud and the 2 Spall brushless fans. Really nice job. The brushless fans are awesome. The issue with a brushless fan is that they move a ton of air, which means they require a good bit of power, right? So these connectors, Yazikis, that's the name of them, Yaziki. They're a pain. But what my plan is, because I don't want to have, like these are a pain to plug and unplug. They just are. And they land in a bad spot, right? So like the only way to really route this would be down and under, you know what I mean? So if they're rushing, and I've been in the pits with Garrett plenty of times and Zach and all them and all the guys, and I know what it's like for them. I know what it's like for us when we're racing, but like I know what it's like for them. And I want to try to make this as easy as possible. So I came up with what I thought is a pretty brilliant plan. I'm going to use a connector like that, like the bulkhead for the engine, but it's a different plan form, which means it's got different pin count and a different size pins in it. And we're going to wire up with a water pump, both fans, which is going to be the heavy duty power and ground plus the PWM signal. The water pressure, there's a coolant pressure sensor that's going to go on the radiator right here. We're going to wire all this up as a module, and then I talked to Cameron, he's going to build a bracket that comes off of this and holds that connector about here so that all this is built in, and the connector is going to be booted coming up here and plugging in right to the back of this. So on the back of this radiator, well, I guess you'd say on the front of this radiator, it will look, there we go. Yeah, see right there, be cool. On the front side of this radiator, it's going to look like that. So this connector will be attached to the radiator. Not that exact one, but a connector like that will be attached to the radiator. And then this will be your free hanging plug that will hang right about here and will be able to be disconnected. And then what I think I'm gonna do is get them a tether cap to be able to put on here for dust and go click and just mount it right here. So,
So literally, you know, when they're at, you know, sick week or whatever, all they have to do when they need to swap from methanol to pump gas to drive on the street, it's just,
well, electrically, all they have to do.
well, electrically, yeah, as far as
There's a lot of other stuff they're gonna have to do, but
So-
I'm trying to come up with a way to make this as easy as possible for them to achieve. And this is like, these connectors are great because they're keyed, so like they can only go in, you know, one way. So yeah, so it took me a little bit of time to kind of figure out what size pins, yada yada, because like you have to be able to provide like up to like 60-ish amp per fan for amperage capacity. So I just use my CMA chart here, which I'm not getting into. We're not doing that today. To try to figure out how to spread load across multiple pins and still have enough pins to be able to do everything we need to do. So I finally found a connector, pretty obscure, but it'll work. It's gonna work good. So that's done, which means that's gonna basically, I'll terminate the rest of the other little stuff, but I'm gonna have to wait to terminate that one unit right there. So, and then in the back of the car, Justin got some stuff done in the back of the car too. So we got, Daniel was tidying up all this, the EGT connections came, and then Justin was in here. We made Justin drilled and tapped down here into that bar to mount a single 70 amp relay. And then I talked to James Tail yesterday. He shipped us out the fuel pump controller for the fuel pump that goes in here. So we'll have to mount the fuel pump controller probably somewhere about here. Then all of this will be covered and they can put a nice little to get up here to the pump. So, and then tail lights were set up, mounted them back here, the markers and then the tails in the back. Made some mounts in the back for wiring that's gonna go across the back. Figured out where we're gonna put the 7-way trailer connector, you know, all the normal streetcar stuff. So yeah. Yeah. So we are making pretty good progress. I think by tomorrow, I'm hopeful that my hope is that by Friday afternoon, we're done with wiring the car. Which, for anybody watching, if you think that this is taking too long, it's not. This is
actually for a drag and drive car. I think this is
absolutely this is absolutely the record time for a drag and drive car, especially one with this much detail. You know, a lot of customers that we've done in the past, they don't really care if we have bulkheads all over the place. They don't care if we have, you know, whatever. So, and Cletus said, ball out and make it awesome. So I said, all right. To me, there's a lot of stuff that happens. So like, I wanted to answer a bunch of questions that we had in the comments. So, because we had a bunch of really good questions in the comments, and I got to be 100% transparent here. I was not anticipating to get some actual good questions. I really wasn't. I was not anticipating good questions. One of them that stuck out in my mind was about like, what's the process of this? And the process before, like most people will get their like, they'll buy their parts from us, hopefully, and they'll open up their box and they'll say, okay, I got this wiring harness. The engine's not in the car yet, but screw it, we're gonna throw this together. The last thing you should be doing when it comes to building a car like this, or like any car, any hot rod at all, wiring should be absolute last, because if you couldn't tell from this video series, there's a lot of placing that has to happen. So there's a lot of drilling that has to happen. There's a lot of tapping and mounting of stuff. So if you don't have stuff mounted first, you don't know where it's got to go. You don't have a good plan of attack. You don't end up with a nice job, a nice finished product. So the process really starts for me on paper. So that's where the process starts. It all starts on paper and Excel. I use Excel a lot. People were asking, you know, what software we use. I like Excel. It's easy to use, and it's also really readily available for everybody. So it's easy for me to share info with customers. But anyway, you start with paper, and then you triple check your paper about 5 or 6 times, all your pinout sheets and everything. And the first step is really understanding what you got, right? So, you know, you go through the whole car and you figure out like, okay, do we have this sensor? Do we have that sensor? Like for this car, there was supposed to be a package here today. It didn't show up because of UPS, but that's okay. We got other stuff to do. We're still missing sensors for this, so, which is fine, but we planned on it and we know where the stuff's got to go. But the reality of it is that you want to get all your stuff in place first, and then you get to your paperwork. And then when you're done with your paperwork, you start measuring. And once you've measured everything, think about the way wire is going to flow through the car, and where it's going to go, where it's going to turn. And then once you've kind of nailed that down, recheck your measurements and then start cutting wire. So if you build it off of spools like we do, which most people don't, I know I'm kind of talking to myself here because a lot of people don't do this stuff. So.
Last question for you tonight, and then everybody can turn this off. The world wants to know, because some people seem to think that you just didn't like them. How are the cinnamon rolls?
Oh, they were good. They were good. They were good. I came up with a brilliant idea to make them better.
Okay.
I've already told you this, but I'll tell everybody else.
Which one?
You need to get like a large diameter syringe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into that.
And then you need to inject the frosting, or whatever. What is it?
It's
the cream,
cream cheese frosting.
whatever. Yeah. So the frosting. So you need to inject the frosting deep into the cinnamon roll, because the bummer of a cinnamon roll is that, like, if you eat like all the way around it or whatever, you're like, heck yeah, but in the middle you're like, eh. So that's why Cinnabon.
Mine are gooey cinnamon.
No, for sure. Your cinnamon rolls are really good, but like that's why Cinnabon was like my favorite, because they had that like big wad of stuff in the middle, and you're like, oh heck yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the candy when you chew it, and it's like, or like you like leave it in your mouth and it slowly dissolves, and then there's like something chewy on the inside. You're like, oh heck yeah, well. So yeah, you need to start injecting cinnamon rolls.
Well, see, some people were saying that there's way too much icing on there.
Well, so I will agree and disagree with them. There was way too much icing on there because it ran off. But if you could inject the icing into it.
That's pretty valid. There was
Yeah.
a lot of icing.
Yeah, there's a lot of icing
at
that
the
just goes to
bottom of the
waste.
pan.
It just goes to waste.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless I just stand over top of the pan and eat them, which, you know, then you yell at me, you know, deal with that.
Well, up next I'm doing the Oreo Nutella
Okay.
rolls. So
I don't remember them.
I didn't make those last time. I just did the Nutella ones, and I don't know if it was you or Josh said they need Oreos. Somebody said they
Okay.
need Oreos.
Cool, yeah.
So
Very
all right.
good.
You have anything else for tonight?
Nope. If you are still here, I will tell you that once this thing is wired up and then plumbed, we'll be firing it up. We'll be probably just checking like systems checks and stuff like that. Maybe put it on the dyno outside before we bring it down to Cletus. Or I got to call Garrett. He may come up here. I don't know what we're going to do. So, but either way, I'm shooting for middle of next week. We're good to go, done, fired up, ready to leave. Hopeful. So a lot of that will depend on Brown and Miller with plumbing. I got a ton of stuff here. I think we got $15,000 worth of parts here for it already, but not that this car is going to take $15,000 worth of plumbing. But
We tried to prepare.
yeah, we ordered a boatload of stuff because I knew we were on a time crunch, and then I can kind of breathe a little bit easier now just because FL2K is off the table. So, you know, which we're not the reason that it's not going to FL2K. So everybody can stop yelling at me. I didn't do it.
Yeah. Somebody did say that we were taking way too long.
Yeah.
And like,
That's okay.
it's only been a couple days.
That's okay. That's all right. So,
So, all right, cool. Well,
cool.
we will.
Thank
we'll
you.
see everybody tomorrow.
I'm gonna get back to work.
All right.
Thank you.
Not for too long.
Yep.
All right. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.